Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Tuesday, the 5th of July, 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, the Reserve Bank lifted the official cash rate by 50 basis points this afternoon, as widely expected. It immediately sent the dollar lower and the ASX higher. By the close, the S&P ASX 200 finished up 0.4% to 6,640 points. The major banks were mixed, while Macquarie Group was up more than 1%, Woodside Energy jumped 4%, while CSL was 1.3% higher. Some of the tech stocks did really well. WiseTech Global rose 5.4%, REA was up 4.2%, and Xero jumped 2.3%. The price of iron ore fell below $110 a tonne over the past 24 hours. Fears of further new lockdowns in China as a result of rising cases of COVID-19 in some areas triggered the drop. It didn't have too much impact on the local miners though. BHP finished up 0.6%, while Fortescue rose almost 2%. One of my favourite stocks, Bubs Australia, was in a trading halt today as it looked to raise $63 million in equity. The company share price is up more than 40% over the past couple of months after it won contracts to supply infant formula to the US. That's the sort of time when you want to raise money. Gold Digger Regis Resources was the best performer of the top 200 today, up 10% after announcing record gold production during the June quarter. That's a good thing for shareholders given gold prices remain very high on an historical basis. The worst performer today was shopping mall owner Unibail Rodamco Westfield. It dropped nearly 4%. Story number 2. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese arrived back in Australia this morning from a successful trip to Europe, including a visit to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He said the struggle of the Ukrainian people against Russia's brutal invasion was inspirational. Mr. Albanese told Mr. Zelensky that he had the support of the Australian people. The Prime Minister also said the invasion of Ukraine had adversely impacted energy prices, inflation, and supply chains. Story number 3. Crown Resorts has been fined $100 million by the Victorian regulator for breaching responsible gambling laws following last year's Royal Commission. That's on top of the $80 million the company has already been fined by the Victorian Gambling and Casino Control Commission. A nice present for new owners Blackstone. There could be more substantial fines in coming months as regulators warned that they're considering further disciplinary proceedings. Story number 4. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is visiting Australia as part of her World Trade Tour. Over the past couple of weeks, she's signed trade deals with the European Union and United Kingdom, and she hopes to leverage the Albanese government's renewed commitment on climate change action to secure more trade between Australia and New Zealand. Now, Australia's fallen behind China and is now New Zealand's second largest trading partner, with two-way trade worth $22 billion a year. Ms. Ardern met with Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews today and will meet New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese over the next few days, as well as give a speech at the Lowy Institute. She's also met with several of the newly elected federal independents. And story number 5 today, at least 6 people died this morning and 24 were wounded in a shooting at a July 4th parade in the Chicago suburb of Highland Park. Police have taken into custody a 22-year-old man and said he is a person of interest. The gunman probably fired on the festivities from a rooftop using a high-powered rifle. Now, that rifle was recovered from the scene. This morning's mass shooting follows an assault on an elementary school in Texas in May that killed 21 people and the gunning down of patrons in a supermarket in Buffalo. That's it for the afternoon report for Tuesday, the 5th of July, 2022. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Twitter and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.